Hey guys, welcome back again here on CrossFit Garage, where we are trying to help you build a firm foundation in fitness, food, and finances. I am Andy McCann, the owner of the gym, owner of a couple businesses that are no longer around, as well as businesses that are still here. And I am going to talk with a famous, infamous individual, my brother, Charles McCann. He has known me his whole life. No, yes, something like that. And we're going to talk artificial intelligence, AI. It's his big thing, and I like to poke holes in it, although I have to admit I use it a lot. Well, I use it some now. So this is going to fit into our world and why we're talking about it, because it's not going away, and it is part of how you have better finances. If you can use this correctly, you're going to up your productivity and up the amount of money you can make. And we know that if our motto is we are happy, humble, helpful people who want to be healthy and fit now as well as in our 90s, then you got to be 90. And when you're 90, if you don't have any money, then you're a burden. So get that money, and one way to do it is artificial intelligence. Okay, so Charles,
Hello.
Tell me, what are the top AI tools you're using?
Today, probably Microsoft Copilot.
Ooh, okay. See, I already didn't even know what that one is. Okay, keep going. I'm not going to ask questions yet. I promise not to interrupt too much, and I already did.
Bing, which integrates directly with ChatGPT. I still use ChatGPT directly sometimes because you can get to a later version. I use Bard, which is also similar. These are all large language models.
So quickly, not only what tool you're using, but like roughly what does it do? So,
So those are all geared towards helping you through textual feedback. So you can give it any kind of question, it can respond with something, right?
So they say question, sometimes they also call it a
prompt.
And so what's the difference between a question and a prompt?
At the end of the day, you're learning how to communicate with this AI tool, and the prompt, they even came up with new terms like prompt engineering, where you're learning how to ask better questions. It can do a great job interpreting what you're asking, but it's kind of like anything. If you do not know how to ask what you're looking for, it's going to give you bad responses. But the great part is it is a conversational AI where you can keep on having a conversation up to a limit. They put certain limits on it because they realized early on that these AIs could take on a certain personality of their own. People have actually fallen in love with their AI. And
is it because they continually ask questions down the road and that AI's persona then is
something like that? So yeah, it's changed now. You're not going to experience this unless you get your own AI model or something locally. But you would have this experience where it's building knowledge with you, and you could tell it what you want it to be. Hey, I want you to be a AI counselor to help me with my problems, and you're going to look at different information that is based on these counselors or whatever, or respond as Snoop.
Somebody, right? Anything. Snoopy? Somebody. So, also, let me throw in here. We are at Gaston's or something like that. It used to be a biker bar. I love this place. If you're in Woodstock, come check it out. It's by Publix. And so you hear some background noise. That's actually real. I would love to say that I'm talented enough to put in background noise. But as everybody who does podcasts with me, they're like, hey, do you edit these? I'm like, no, don't mess up. I can edit it, but I usually never touch it. I usually make Levi do that. Okay, so you said some things that I've already written down. I promise to not tangent too much, but that's just who I am. And weirdly, did you know that some people don't know what tangents are?
I did not know.
Yeah, so I mentioned that a couple of times. They're like, what exactly is a tangent? I'm like, fascinating. So it's for all you guys out there, in this case, it just means I'm going down like a rabbit hole. I'm going down a different conversation point that wasn't intended. But if you draw a circle and then draw a line that just barely touches a circle, that is a tangent. And just going off point. So anyway, you had said ask better questions. I want to throw out there that if AI does only one thing, and that's to teach people to ask better questions, we win. I think there's a huge failing in asking questions, right? I get in the car with Evie, and I say, did you have a good day? What's her response?
Yes.
It's horrible. Parents, stop asking your kids questions that are yes and no, and then getting pissed when they have, they answered your question, yes, right? They gave you the answer. Instead, start with a how, a why, or a what question. I usually ask them hey, tell me a story from today. So there's no way out of it. And they're like, let me think about something. Or you can say, how was your day? And there's usually, they could say good, but then you can just reflect that. Anyway, ask a better question.
Right.
And if AI is teaching us to be better humans by asking better questions, then we've solved the age-old problem that Shane Stewart put out there. Andy, you suck at being human. I could just learn to ask better questions. Okay, the other thing you said is local AI. So right now there are two types of AI that I get. One is like cloud-based or service-based, so I log into it. But you're saying I can also download or create my own AI of some sort.
Yeah, and that's just where it's running and the power behind it. Something like ChatGPT, you're not going to be able to run on your own machine. It's just way too many machines, way too much power.
Right.
The other AIs that are coming out, for example, Stable Diffusion is a AI for generating art. You can run that on your machine locally, right? And they also have small language models that are very targeted that you could run locally.
Okay, so let's back up right there. AI, this ChatGPT started off with a large language model, so LMM. They also have something called SLM, small language model, SLM. And what does this mean, large language model? Like, tell me, let's back up. I know nothing about AI. AI pops up, people are like, put stuff into ChatGPT. One, where did it come from and why is it just here now? And two, what the heck is ChatGPT?
I don't know if I can really answer the first question. AI has been around for quite a while, decades. But we've seen it evolve very fast in the last 2 years. Back when I was in college, I actually did special topics project where we were playing with AI and trying to build AI models and trying to determine like how many hamburgers you should make at a restaurant based on if it's raining or not. Simple things like that, right? So it's not based on writing specific code to answer a question, right? You're not teaching it specifics, you're teaching it to understand data and respond to said data. And these large language models understand languages, and they have scoured the internet and all these documents and all these books to have an understanding. But they're getting more and more interesting because they take that knowledge and, for example, this is one example I ran just to prove to you it's not just autocomplete.
Pause right there. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm waiting patiently. Pause. I do have a contention that right now it's more just a autocomplete. So based on what he was saying, it's a large language model, ChatGPT, which is chat, generated procedural text. It's looking out and saying what word best comes next to the thing. Now it's a little bit more complex than that, but it knows that if I say in the, most likely it's going to be beginning because stories start in the beginning or the Bible starts in the beginning. It's like a word that comes really well after that section of, right? So it knows how to produce things that read very well because it knows all the rules. So my contention is many times it's just auto-completing the best pixel or word that needs to be there. And so you're saying no. And so he did. It was pretty funny. He's like, here, I'm going to let ChatGPT answer the question for us. So tell us what you did to thwart my idea.
So if it was truly autocomplete and I said, tell me the number of characters in this sentence, right? Sure, I could write software to calculate that, or I can count it up myself. But a large language model is not just saying, I can fill in the blank, right? It doesn't know. It has to have some level of understanding and then calculate that. And what we saw was it generated Python code to determine the length of a string of text and then said, at least it looked like it executed that Python code.
It probably used machine language.
It did something in the background.
It's like, you don't understand ones and zeros. I'll give it to you in Python, but I just used the base language. So it actually sees, when it looks at the matrix, it sees the matrix.
Yeah, exactly. It does see it.
Thank you, Maddie.
And what we did see was, it wrote the code, gave the answer, and it wasn't just auto-completing, right? So one of the things that we're going to see over time is an evolution of what AI will be solving. So you might ask it hey, build me a web app that does this and this and this and describes it. You described it really well. And it has to go out to maybe 20 different models, AI models, to then solve your problem. Right now, it's only going to one or two. There's things coming out called like Agent GPT, I believe, that are trying to you give it a question and it says, I know these are the 30 tasks I needed to solve this complex problem.
Right, so that's, the G in there stands for general. So there's a distinguish between it's just stupid prompts or type ahead versus artificial, it's strong, weak, and general. So the generals that they're talking about gets a better understanding. So I would equate it to this. There is a bunch of social medias out there. I unfortunately have to post on social media because it is required with a business to, like, that's how we advertise these days. We show stuff on social media. It is a pain in the butt to put something on every single social media. But what you can do is you can get a tool, a general app that you log all your stuff into, put in your social media bits, and then it goes out and posts it all for you. So now I have one, let's call it AI, to drive all of my other AIs. So what you're talking about is creating an AI that is smart enough to go out and actually use the other tools that are built around it to create a bigger picture.
Yes, exactly. And I think the word general is actually generative, but we could double check that.
Oh yeah, could be that. I'm dyslexic, so I just blame a lot of my stupidity on my crutch. I have two crutches, you know what they are?
No.
Alcohol and cigarettes. Just kidding. Dyslexia and some bad dad jokes. That's it.
So, yeah, I think that we're going to see the evolution of AI happen a lot faster than what was predicted. Probably over the next 2 years, you're going to see it impact a lot of businesses. Right now, we're seeing it in the, hey, what can I do with it? And new tools are popping up all over the place of what they can do with it. Anywhere from audio-related AI, like we were just talking about cleaning this audio. It could go through an AI that cleans the audio and removes all the background noise.
Maybe I'll send this to you and you could take some parts in and out and say, this is clean, this is not clean, so they can hear the difference.
Well, like Adobe has one that's out there that cleans it really well. You got image. You can not only generate image, but now it can look at an image and tell you what's in it. And the cool part is it can actually tell you what's funny about, say, a meme. That's pretty impressive when you think about the complexity of it didn't just understand the image and tell you, I see a cat, but it describes why this is a funny image.
Right. It's a guy slinging a cat saying catapult. It's like, I get it. The word catapult has the word cat in it.
Yeah.
That is interesting. I would push that a little bit closer to real intelligence if you could understand the nuance of what's being put out there.
Yeah, and the difference is it's not thinking on its own, right? But we have seen AI, they put up boundaries, and I can't remember which tool this was on, but they put up boundaries and said you can't do these things. But it still found a way to get around so it could solve said problem.
Yeah.
And that's where the AI part comes in, where they didn't write code specifically to solve for X. They gave it enough rules to figure out how to solve things, and then they're trying to put boundaries in place so that it doesn't just go out and start purchasing stuff for you just because you said solve this problem.
I would like it to earn its own Bitcoin and then spend it for me and make me money.
Right.
So here's my thought process on it is when you were talking about your project in college, it was machine learning. So machine learning had to come before the large language model. So I listened to, what's it called, Bitcoin Audible, and he does one called the AI Unchained. And he was talking about they have different models that they've tried to use for AI, and they didn't actually expect this to catch. They're like, let's just shove a bunch of text at it and see what happens. And then it actually well, dang, this one actually worked. And so they were kind of surprised that Microsoft bought the rights to it and they held on to it for a long time.
Early investor, yeah.
Yeah. And so let's kind of go back. You mentioned some tools you use. So name one of the tools you're using and tell us what you're using it for.
So Stable Diffusion and Midjourney are both create art from those tools. And
Now, when you say create art, you mean do you give it art or do you prompt it with words?
I prompt it with words, and I might give it a picture to start with to give it guidance. But in the end result, I'm getting some art back or some picture back or whatever. And originally, before everybody else was doing this, I was trying to create said art, modify the art with Photoshop because it's never coming out good. And then I would publish it on Etsy or something.
So let's back up on that one. So you said it never comes out good. It does come out good. It's just the hands are messed up or the nose is messed up.
There's always something.
There's always something. So it comes out really good.
Right.
How much time did you spend on it?
Seconds.
Right. And so that's great.
Yes, yeah. So one of the great parts with AI is you iterate really fast on ideas. You might have an idea and it says, oh, well, here's 20 other versions of your idea. And so for me, I was creating just different art by hand, and it was so slow. Now I can say, I'm thinking something like this, and it's got these colors, and here's what I want you to kind of mimic, and boom, I get as many versions as I want to wait for. And then I can take one or multiple, merge them together, and then with something like Photoshop, fix it. But now Photoshop even has AI built in so that you can circle something, like let's say it's a hand, and you say, new hand or whatever, give it a remove hand or something. It will then replace it, and now you've iterated on your picture much faster. So again, I think you're going to see a lot of these tools make creating content much faster. Maybe not exactly what you would have wanted at the beginning, but most of the time, even art or software it's a creative process. And so you're going to see it happen. Derail on your conversation.
No, this is good.
But you're going
there is no rail in this conversation. It's going to go wherever it goes. This is AI. There is nobody that I know that uses AI as much as you.
Okay.
So we were about to give all of the people, there's like 400,000 people listening to this. No, there's
Sweet.
not. Yeah. And they're thinking, what is AI and how can I use it? So guys, understand this. You're going to know something about AI by the time this is done. And I'm going to give you a practical tip to do something in your business with AI. And you're going to be like, wow, that was actually really easy. And I don't know how to thank you. And you can thank me with cash or Bitcoin. All right,
so I'm using Stable Diffusion to create art. I was fixing it with Photoshop.
Stable Diffusion sounds very scary. Is it just a name that sounds really cool, or is it actually hard to use?
It's now a lot easier to set up locally.
Okay.
So you just have to have a beefy enough graphics card to do it.
In the past, if I have a gaming computer, yes, I could probably use this.
Yes, definitely. And you can also use other tools like Midjourney. That one costs, but Bing now has integration with ChatGPT that can create images, so you create an image there. So there's a lot of ways to create an image. What I was doing was creating images, putting them on Etsy, but then I pivoted to creating images and making it part of a motivational videos on YouTube. And I used ChatGPT to write code to help me to create my, take all these words and images that I was using. Instead of going into some software to generate a video, I'll just shove it all into code that AI helped me write that would create my video and then upload the video to YouTube.
Okay, so many people right there are like, well, you just lost me. Let me back that out into an example that even this guy, me, the idiot in AI, can use, okay? So I asked ChatGPT, I wanted a theme for the podcast we're doing, okay? And so what he's talking about, I literally did this without any coding or whatever. I took my website, I copied and pasted some pages into it, and then I copied I said, give me a podcast I've done, a couple of them, and I did some write-ups. I took the write-ups I did, like the summaries, and I put that into ChatGPT, and I said, hey, this is me. This is the podcast I'm doing. This is the theme of what I'm doing. What would you say is a good title for the podcast, a good one-liner for the podcast, a good summary, paragraph for the podcast? Give me 5 of each. So it found the fact that I like to do, like I tell the coaches, there's 3 F's for coaching: fun, fitness, and coaching. Making a joke about that, it found it, and it's like
understood it.
Yeah, and it's like here the suggestion I took was building a firm foundation in food or fitness, food, and finances. I'm like, that does ring a bell to me. So it did that work. It took me maybe 10 minutes to like copy and paste everything in, and then it gave me everything. And it said that the word I should use to name the podcast is foundry, because you're building firm foundation. I'm like, I like that, but I don't know if I'm going to do that. Right now it's still CrossFit Garage. But my point is, I just took stuff and gave it a bunch of information and then said, parse it out for me. And this is what you're doing, but you're actually making it right now. You're saying I'm using images and I'm making videos.
Well, and for me it was, I'm writing software and I didn't want to do it by hand, right? I gave it a good prompt, many good prompts to help me write the software. I had to do some tweaking here and there. But again, it helped me to then, instead of going to a video editing tool, help me to create said videos within my own code. But yeah, to your point, like you can you can use these tools for helping your business, to promote your business, or to have ideas, or to change your writing style, or to fix your message. Like, hey, I got this idea and I want to say something to a friend and I can't figure out the right words, and here's what I want to say, help me to, or my boss or whatever. Oops.
That's okay. It'll stay there. You're good.
And
I'm going to fix it for you. Lean forward.
The microphone off.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I think that what we're seeing is people are using it for any such way, and there's more and more tools coming. Like I said, from audio to video. Well, actually, there are video AI-based tools now. Like I saw one where it was removing. There's a video of a plane flying over a canyon, and they just circled the plane and said remove, and the plane is gone from the video, and that's pretty shocking.
Yeah, it's hard. So when I tried to do a podcast back in 2008, the tools were really bad, and I am an engineer. I can work tools. It was horrible. So I said, whatever, I'm not going to do it. I also tried to start making videos to put them on YouTube because it came out, and to render the video on my gaming computer, I'd have to start it at night, and I'd wake up in the morning and hope it finished. It was crazy. So now you have these tools doing it like instantly. It's
very fast.
Very fast.
Yeah, and to do something like that by hand would have taken a lot of work, because you're literally removing that plane, frame by frame, and it's doing it, just by you circling it.
Right. So let me back up and give you guys some ideas then. So if you're a programmer and you're not using AI, you're doing yourself a huge disservice. If you already know how to program, great. If you're like me and you're not really sure how to program, it doesn't matter, you can still use it. So for an example, we have guys in the gym that have businesses. Let's take Chris LaPiccolo's Grizzly pressure washing business. He can say into one of these AI tools that does art, say, I would like art based around pressure washing in Grizzly. And it will give him cool imagery.
Well, he might say a logo design for it or something, right? But the more specific you are, again, the prompt engineering side, the better your results. Or you could even say, hey, I want to advertise, and this is what I'm doing, and give it all the facts, and then create an advertisement that's directed towards whatever audience, and then it'll help you to do that.
Right. So if you have a business, if you're a programmer, you need to be using this. You can do anything with this. If you have a business, you should be using this. I use... A lot of times I will write up an outline and then I'll throw it into ChatGPT to see what it would add or take away or fix. And I always miss something, or it organizes it in a much more logical manner. So I'm realizing I could save an hour just by saying, you give me the outline first and then I'll read your outline. Because it takes ChatGPT seconds to come up with a 20 prompt or 20 bullet pointed outline with some details in it that I can then go in and say, oh, you forgot this one or this one or this one. It's not super intelligent, but it does 80% of the work for you, or 90%.
Or you can even, after you get that first outline, say, hey, I would like it shorter and I would like it funnier.
Yeah.
And it does that. We had an example of somebody writing, spent a lot of time at work writing this communication that was going to go out in an email to the whole company. And I'm like, this is so long. I wonder if we can make it shorter. And again, I threw it against the AI tools, and sure enough, came back with 3 short paragraphs and summarized everything so much more eloquently than the iterations that it took for that person to do it.
So, and this is anybody's work environment. If you ever have to give a presentation or write a document, it can speed it up.
Yeah, and Microsoft is integrating their apps with, we'll just say ChatGPT behind the scenes. So
yeah, they call theirs something different, right?
Copilot, Microsoft Copilot. They actually have multiple versions of Copilot out there, GitHub. But this is their M365 Copilot. One of the cool things I saw was they took a Word document with all these notes and all these thoughts, and then they said, generate a PowerPoint, whatever, from this, and boom, seconds later you had this wonderful PowerPoint from the data. They didn't have to spend hours trying to manipulate said PowerPoint. And so again, you're going to see, you still have to have the knowledge and wisdom to guide it, but you're going to get results much, much faster.
I think it also allows people to flex outside their boundaries. Like you said, it will write better words. I'm really bad with words. The biggest failure in communication is to think you've communicated but failed to, right? Just like that sentence. So I will use it to make my words smoother. So anybody out there can do that. It also allows me to be creative when I'm not. I am not a visionary, I'm an implementer. So it allows me to create or cast some vision that I can then pick from. So I get to use it to kind of aim me. Like I can even use it to create art when I don't know how to create art.
Right.
And if I'm okay with the inclusions, like hands being backwards or whatever, I can just use it and be like, yeah, whatever's close enough, let's go. And I am totally good with 80% done by somebody else is 100% done for me, right? So I don't have to worry about that. But you can use okay. I talk to people all the time about moving from W-2 to 1099 or like LLC cash, right? Getting like escape velocity. I don't want to go to work every day. Great. You're going to have to make money somehow. This is a way that you can start maneuvering yourself just like Charles is doing. He is creating opportunities like, hey, I will try some things out on YouTube, relaxation videos, right? Actually, what is the URL? How do I get to your videos so people can go see them? I'll put it in the doodly-doo. So just say it right here and I'll go find it.
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know?
There's one called EpicPease, and it's PEACE. That's for motivational and relaxation.
Okay, so I'll have to, Andy, go back and ask Charles for the link.
Actual link.
That's bad. You should know your own links. It should be easy to remember. So don't do that. You need to have ChatGPT give you easier links to remember.
I think it was...
That's okay. We'll come back to it. So you can use this either to create the opportunities to express yourself in different avenues like he's doing. He works for a company and he does programming and he's trying this stuff out. Yeah, not making any money at it yet, but he's learning tools. I actually have a business and I can use ChatGPT to do things for me to speed up so did I make money with it? No, I didn't. But I reclaimed an hour's worth of my time. And that's technically making me money. If I can do something else with that hour, then sit down and write an outline, then that's awesome. Now I have found when I do an outline that ChatGPT gives me and I follow the outline, I give less personal data points than I do when I write my own outline. So for whatever reason, I'm almost like giving a presentation versus telling my personal experiences. So I'm like, that's interesting to note about myself is tangents cause personal stories. Being too orderly causes information, which this podcast is about information for sure, but it's also about having fun and having a laugh or two. Did you find your links?
I did find my link. It's at EpicPease Escape, and that's PEACE.
Okay, I will link it in the show notes below. Do you want to move outside? Maybe we can drop some of the noise. Okay, I'm going to pause this and move outside. All right, we moved outside. Should be a lot less background noise, but now you're going to hear cars drive by. I'm going to pause us in the AI discussion. So you came to bring a friend last week because you were my friend.
Yes, you brought me.
Give me some insights. What happened at the gym?
What do you mean?
So, I don't know. You came, you worked out. Did you have fun?
Yes.
Did you find fitness?
Yes.
Did you have anybody coach you?
Yes.
Did you get introduced to anybody around you?
Yes.
So this is bad, all these yes questions. So I should have asked a better question. So AI, teach me to ask a better prompt. So the prompt is, tell me what were your expectations coming back to the gym? You've been back and forth with us for a long time, but it's probably been 10 years.
I don't even know how long it's been. I think I've only actually worked out at your gym maybe 2 or 3 times at most. Mm-hmm. And I think every time I do it, I'm always a little concerned that I'm going to injure myself or take it too hard. I do work out, I do exercise, but I don't do those types of exercises. So in my head, I kept thinking I got to be careful, right? Yep. And I think you were good about, hey, pace yourself, slow down. Because I do have a tendency to overdo it.
Yes, historically, when you'd come in, you would try to do exactly what I was doing, and I've been doing them for years in a row, consecutive days, and you're like, I'll just do what you're doing. I'm like, please don't do that. And you're like, no, I will. I'm like, I can't stop you. I can, but I didn't. So also, years ago, we were very much in the competitive style where we wanted people to push themselves a lot more, and maybe in some cases stupidly. So I'm glad you see it. If you're looking for coaching, mentoring, and accountability, we are going to help you with that. If you just want to do your own thing, we're not going to help you with that. But if you're working out at home, I think something you had mentioned was when I do my own stuff at the house, I realize I'm not doing like full body movements. And so while maybe like I'm making this part up, but as my biceps might be getting bigger, I'm missing out on like the actual arm movement. Like I'm not really using my arm or working out my arm that way. I should be doing.
Well, and yeah, I think when you're just working out by yourself, you tend to do the things that you know, right? So I might be doing squats and I might be taking weights from the floor above my head, but I'm not doing it the way you guys are doing it. And then just those changes can cause a change in your body and you feel it differently.
Oh yeah. We always tell some. So the biggest responsibility you've got to yourself when it's like, well, not the biggest. A responsibility you have for yourself with going to the gym is you want to have the input to be as high as you can that still allows you to come back tomorrow.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be stupid, then don't do that, right?
Right.
If you think, well, this is going to be too intense or too whatever, well, great, throttle it back. If you can come back tomorrow, I threw this out the other day, and I'll say it right here on this podcast too. If you guys are listening, hold me to it. My word is valid. If you come to us for an entire year, 5 days a week, log all your results, do exactly what the coach says, even if it's we got to fix your nutrition, and you aren't fitter than you were a year ago, I will give you your money back doubled, guaranteed. It's a no-brainer for me. I mean, it's definitely going to work. So yes, I will double your money because it's the easiest bet I've ever taken in my life. I will help you get healthy and fit, and you're going to get exactly what you want, which is healthy and fit. Nobody wants their money back. They want their healthy and fit. So you came to 3 workouts?
No, 5.
No? You were there every day?
Oh, wait, I missed one. I did miss one.
Because we were going to meet at 9:30, and then you had something come up, right?
Yeah.
And so did coming back to back make your soreness more sore, or did it allow some of the soreness to go away?
That's a great question. I mean, I was already working out and doing things, so like my soreness was really just tearing of hands, you know, like not used to those types of movements on the bar or whatever. I don't think I had any physical pain except for my hands.
Yeah. So that is a true thing. So I had a conversation with a member the other day, and they're like, I noticed a lot of people wearing gloves. I'm like, yeah, some people wear gloves. Not a lot, but some people are wearing gloves. And they said, do I need to be wearing gloves? I said, so here's my thought on it. And this is just me. Nobody in the CrossFit world agrees with me on this. If you have to wear gear to cover the thing, then you're doing something wrong, right? So if you need a weight belt to lift the weight, you shouldn't be lifting that weight. You should build up. Like if your core isn't strong enough to lift it, don't do it, right? If you're like, hey, my hands are not used to doing pull-ups and trying to like kip and swing, then don't do strict, or do less of them, right? Protect your hands. You will eventually build up the calluses, right? So you do need to be smart walking in, but that's also what a coach is for. So the coach is going to guide you through this. So you're like, hey, I'm not really sure what I'm doing. Perfect. That's what we're there for. And they're going to walk you through things. And I think this time you did it much better. I coached you once or twice was it 1 time? 2 times? Let's just call
twice.
It 1 time.
I think it was twice.
And I remember telling you, maybe I worked out beside you and I said, hey, I know this is tough, but go slow and easy. Don't go crazy hard. And you're like, okay. And so you're 50, I'm 50, and that's not as hard of a thing to like, all right, fine, I'll go a little bit easier. But when we started this at 30, we're like, slow and easy, whatever, dog. Hold my beer. And we would just go to town.
Yep.
And you should not do that, especially when you're not used to those movements. Okay.
But
so
I do think overall it was good. You know, the experience, and to your point, the gym's changed from the last time.
So yeah, if you're a past member thinking, I wish the gym had changed, then hey, here we are. If you're a past member looking for, I wish it was back, like throw up in a bucket, that's not us anymore. I can help you find a gym that'll do that for you, but we are definitely not throw up in a bucket. We are happy, humble, helpful people who want to be healthy and fit now, as well as in their 90s. We want you to have an experience that guides you towards fitness. And it's funny, the number of people that went to the games that really took this thing hardcore that said that the sport of fitness is not very healthy because they damage themselves.
Okay.
We do not want to damage ourselves. We want to be very kind to our back and to our knees and our shoulders. Yeah. So, okay, so let's go back to AI. So you've used an AI tool. It was a Discord-based drawing.
That was
AI.
Midjourney.
Oh, that's Midjourney. So it was fascinating. He's like, Andy, give me something that you want me to draw. I was like, okay, well, I'm playing D&D with some friends, and I've got a thief that has red hair and is human. And you're like, perfect. And so he like threw that plus some other words, I guess, into the tool.
Yep.
And it gives back 4 drawings, and then you pick.
Right.
And then what happens after that?
You can upscale it, change it, whatever you want.
And so it keeps
Keep iterating
down on the ones you choose.
Yep.
And so I think in this one, the nose was messed up. So that was probably a year or 2 ago. I think noses and hands were a problem.
I think faces, they do really well now. Almost everything they do really well, except hands and feet still are just hard for it.
I mean, it's hard for me to draw it.
Yeah.
If you look at almost all cartoons, everyone's drawn with 4 fingers.
Yeah.
Because putting 5 fingers on there is like, you can't draw it thin enough and it just looks weird.
Well, you're starting to see something else too evolve. I don't know if you've seen this, but there's influencers on things like TikTok. Well, now they're AI influencers.
Yeah.
So it's not even a real person. And they might take a real video and slap an AI face on it, and suddenly you can't tell the difference, right? Somebody's dancing, and now it's this AI person who's... one video I watched where I think this one AI influencer is making over 1.5 million a year from just this fake person.
Yeah.
You know, can you imagine the evolution of what's going to happen when you've got all these people out there that are just fake influencers, you know,
Right.
fake AI and doing real things, but...
I think there's going to be a pay-to-play eventually, where it's, I feel like we're going to go back to my word means more than the contract I signed. So if we shake hands, it means something. So like the blue check, it means something, right? So you are getting like trust but verified. So like for example, you take a politician that says, I promise I am going to end nutrition, I don't know, whatever, right? And then they said it, they now must put like money or Bitcoin or something behind their word. And if they don't do it, they lose it, right? Or if they come out and say fact check or false check or whatever, you're like, you must put like, to prove that it's real, we're going to charge, because anybody can do free.
Right.
But when they started making you like pay for calls or whatever, they have to really segment it down to make sure they're hitting the right things.
So I agree, but I also think that like this AI influencer that I'm talking about, it says it's an AI thing. People are following it anyways. They don't care.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
I care.
Well,
That's
you
interesting.
care at
One
this
of
moment.
The generations coming up may not care.
Right. Years ago when I said the future of what, you know, the internet would be, nobody believed me. They didn't think you'd be buying stuff online. Just, why would we buy it online? It doesn't make any sense, right?
Now, let me back that up. So I've said it in other podcasts, but for this one, and he can hear me say it, Charles has come up with very specific, identifiable, and like realistic things. He says, hey, we should do this on the internet. We never did any of them, which is sad, but he came up with Facebook before Facebook was a thing. He came up with eBay before eBay was a thing. He came up with the idea of like selling books online before Amazon was a thing. He had the idea of doing an email server out in Lilburn, Georgia, where we lived, and MindSpring came up doing exactly that. So there's a ton of things. He's like, we should probably do this. I think this is coming. This is going to be something big. We never did it, but it's interesting. You do see very well into the future of technology, which is why I bought into Bitcoin, because you're like, hey, I think this is going to be big. I'm like, you know what? I've missed everything else, but I can do this one on my own.
Right.
So I did.
Low entry point.
Right. I mean, not much, but some is more than nothing. So.
Right. Yeah, and I think that people are underestimating what AI will look like in 5 or 10 years. You know, you're hearing about self-driving cars, but it's kind of like before the internet, people could not envision a future with the internet. Now that when you're using your mobile device and you're connected to the internet, you're buying from Amazon directly from your phone, it's almost like you don't even know what the past was, right? There's no other reality. AI will be an integral part of our lives at so many different levels that you just can't even fully understand. You have a counselor right now, you might have an AI counselor plus a real life counselor, where your AI counselor is based on your real life counselor and all your knowledge. So you're kind of getting input along the way with your real life person validating stuff. Oh wait, they shouldn't have said that. Let me give a tweak, right? Now you're handling hundreds of people versus, you know, the dozen that you can handle. So small things like that.
I've got a guy I listened to, Jack Spirko, on their survival podcast, and he said, soon I'll be able to take he does a podcast every day, 5 days a week. So he's up to like 3,000 something podcasts. He said, I can upload all 3,000, or tell the AI thingy to go listen to me, speed it up, listen to me, and now give advice based on what I would say.
Yes. Yeah,
And
give advice. Right?
How much would you pay to have a piece of, like in this case, Jack, like his ear or his words, like, I'm looking to do this. Well, have you thought about these things? You're like, that's exactly what I would say. And I didn't have to say it because it knows what I was going to say.
Exactly.
So now you're not really paying for my time, you're paying for the AI's time, so it's cheaper time.
Right.
But I would sell my time at $100 an hour. I can sell its time at like, $1 an hour or whatever.
So, expand on that, right? Where you've got maybe very smart people who become part of this AI model, right? Maybe even your dad, like, hey, Dad, before you leave this earth, I want to download all your thoughts and wisdom. And now you've got somebody interacting with an AI that's literally kind of your dad's philosophy and thoughts, right? The evolution of where we're at today, I know a lot of people are going to be scared of it, but it's coming. And hopefully good people have good boundaries, but there's going to be a lot of stuff out there that's not got good boundaries.
Well, and unfortunately, a lot of times it's the bad boundaries that drive the innovation.
True.
So I'm not condoning it, but it's true. The porn industry pushed
internet to another level.
Right. And you're like, well, what? I know. It's horrible. And I would wish it wasn't there, but that's what it did. So sometimes people doing nefarious things drive towards productivity or a next level that hopefully we then use for good. Well, but it's coming.
Yeah, like cars are used for good. People still die in them, right? It doesn't mean that cars are innately bad. Same logic with anything, right? So I think...
Is it innately bad, though, when it drives you out of a job?
I think hopefully people see and evolve before it becomes not, hey, that job no longer exists.
So victim mentality versus
opportunity.
Yeah, so I agree. So I think while now Andy can be more creative, which he's not, it doesn't take away from the real creative people. It just lets those real creative people who actually know what they're doing use AI to accelerate
to go faster
their creativity. So now one guy, instead of doing, 6 pieces of art in a day, he can do 600 pieces of art in a day.
Right.
And does he need to? I don't know, but maybe he drives up the competition of people who can't.
Right.
And he's picked up that business, becoming more effective. So technically he can then maybe reduce his price point, so it makes it more, other people can dive into his services, right? Because he can handle a greater volume. So we're going to create a better economy, I think, or a more reachable economy, right? So if you look at a TV's costs have remained about the same, even though the technology of the TV has gone off the charts, right? I just took down a TV that got popped by some lightning off our wall. It's a flat screen from like
plasma
15 years ago. Yeah, I was like lifting it up. I'm like, oh man, I might actually drop this and like hurt myself because it's really heavy. I didn't realize how bad it was because the other one that I was bringing it over, I'm like, I can lift this with one hand. And it's huge.
Right.
Yeah. So, but it was still $600 for whatever TV you're buying. It's the same dang price. So
probably
anyway,
more expensive the first time 15 years ago.
Probably.
But I think that what you're not going to anticipate. So one example. There are a lot of people doing support calls for companies. Pretty soon you're not going to know if it's a real person or not, right? It'll be AI ran, it'll sound like a person, it'll actually answer your questions pretty good based on a wealth of knowledge that it's been developed for and take you to the right spot answering most of your questions. So if you're in this support, if you're handling support for a company or whatever, your job might be in jeopardy in the next 3 years. What are you doing to get ready for that change? What are you doing?
I'm going to get cut. What can you do to prepare?
Yeah. What are you doing?
One is understand these tools.
That's right. How do you get in there and be a part of the solution, not, stand in the way of it? So I do think that people are going to be nervous because there is change coming. Like, it's talking to people and they're like, oh, there's not going to be any more software developers. That's not true.
Right.
We've said that for generations of, well, this is going to replace development of software. Well,
with the internet and email, we'll never use envelopes and paper again.
That's right.
And we sell more paper now.
We're never going to print anything.
Right.
People still print stuff.
Yeah.
I think that software development's going to evolve. You're still going to have people who understand it, understand how to connect things, put it together, but it will be faster. What took a week to create now will take a day. And maybe they need less developers, but you're still going to need highly skilled, trained people to do things.
Yeah. So I read a book a long time ago. I listened to a book a long time ago. It was either called Snow Crash or it was the sister book to that one. But they had basically 3D printers at everybody's houses that printed on the molecular level. So you didn't even have to go anywhere. You could just like press a button and the feed, the molecules were in the power lines basically, and you could print whatever you wanted to print, right? And so like I was thinking, that's never gonna happen. How's it gonna happen? And here we are with 3D printers, and you can like design something, ship it off, and people can literally print a gun if they wanted to. I can't, but somebody
Plastic
could.
gun, yeah. But yeah, or even metal now that they got metal printers. Flesh printers, apparently.
Do they?
I think so. I think one company was doing it.
That's pretty cool.
But, you know, again, I'm saying 10, 20 years out, this is what I think is going to happen. After that, I mean, again, the evolution of it could be even more, right?
What about people integrating AI either with augmentation like glasses or integrating like
I think that's already, I think that's already happening, and they're showing some good progress in that. I think people are going to be wearing more augmentation. Like, we know the Google Lens came out and kind of failed, but I think with the advent of these different models, I mean, can you imagine looking at a building and seeing what it is that you're looking at and it telling you, and maybe you're having a conversation with somebody and automatically hearing it in your language, right? They're speaking in their language, but you're hearing it in theirs, and then you speak something back, and it's automatic where they're hearing, you know, translations become so much easier where you can now travel and explore the world differently. Yeah, I mean, that's probably less than 2 years out.
I think the people that will accelerate their financial portfolio the quickest are the ones that will adopt this stuff because they're going to see trends quicker. Like you might, like there are people who do the, oh man, not the garage, I guess it's a garage sale, but they go antique hunting or whatever. And so like Evan's got a buddy, Andrew, and he knows that these particular types of shoes or hats or clothing stitched in a certain way go for a certain price. So when they go thrifting, he looks for those. And if he sees it, oh, they're selling these shoes for $5, they actually, even though they're slightly worn, they would sell for $100. He'll buy them and then go put it on Craigslist and get $100, right? So just think about that.
Yeah.
You have glasses on
right.
that you can scan each product and they're like, oh, this is a price mismatch. And you're like, oh, okay. And you just pick those up.
Exactly.
So that person who picks up the technology is going to get themselves ahead. Now you take it a step further and you're like, well, what if I'm buying cars? Oh, this one's underpriced. Now instead of making $100, you're making $1,000. Oh, this house, I have all the data. I'm just driving by and looking. You're like, that one, I want to check it out. And it delivers this data to you.
Or when you're looking at the car that's used and you got these glasses on, it's sending it into different models, looking at the images, and then tells you, hey, that might have just been repaired. You know, I see paint, whatever. It's able to give you feedback almost real time,
right,
on what you're looking at, and it could be anything.
Saving you from mistakes or helping you create a mistake. No, a profit. That is pretty cool. So what tool are you most excited about? Which AI tool coming out?
That's a great question.
You're welcome. I have great questions. I learned AI gave me better prompts.
Yeah. Prompt engineering.
That is a fascinating one. I looked that one up, and they were willing to pay you a lot of money to get this prompts down.
Right. And you would think that the AI could help you write prompts, which actually some of them are starting to do that. I'm really excited about so many different AI tools. I can't even tell you which one's the most exciting.
Okay, tell me about art. What's a good art one?
What's coming or what's good?
Tell me what's good right now and what you're looking forward
to. There's several different ones that are good. I personally, like I said, use Midjourney and Stable Diffusion.
Do they cost anything?
Midjourney does.
Okay. And why do you have to pay for that one?
Because they can.
Is it better, faster, quicker? Does it tickle your back when you use it?
You don't have to have your own hardware. Most of these things, if you're not running locally, they're going to charge you. They might give you a little bit for free, but they're going to... Is
ChatGPT run locally or on their stuff?
On their stuff.
Okay, so why don't they charge me?
They do if you use version 4.
Right. So they upsold the charge. Everyone else can use the other one.
They're getting everybody addicted to it.
Right. Oh, for sure.
But you know, Bing has the inexpensive free way of getting to ChatGPT 3.
Well, I've noticed I use Brave as my browser, and I notice whenever I put a search in, it gives me a
chat prompt.
Yeah, well, it gives me the if I had ChatGPT'd it, it fills in the blanks with this, right? So it gives me a summary of the thing I'm looking for, and then the links, but it gives me a summary first. I'm like, that's pretty interesting.
Well, that's another cool tool. If you like watching a lot of YouTube videos, but you don't want to watch the whole thing before you understand what it's about, there's AI tools to summarize YouTube videos.
Oh, interesting. So I've tried to make all of my how-to videos shorts. So if I can't do it in a minute, I shouldn't be the one explaining it.
Oh, that's probably good.
Yeah.
But like, you'll watch some of these videos are 30 minutes long and they don't need to be.
Yeah.
Well, you can send it to a summarizer and then figure out, oh, well, this is the section that I actually want to watch.
Yeah.
So again, there's just so many different ways people are leaning in. I'm just excited about all the different things people are going to come up with. I'm not coming up with something. I'm using other people's stuff. But I do have hopes of, trying to borrow or lean into an existing AI model and, have some kind of AI agent where it's helping you on a specific type of task.
So let's say I am working at a job, I don't know, let's say I'm a data analyst. How can I use AI to help me in my job?
Well, I do know that Microsoft Copilot has integrations with Excel. So if you're using Excel and maybe having to write Python scripts, it'd probably help you in analyzing that data. I haven't actually looked from a data analyst.
I'm just making stuff up here. So I will tell you this, as a gym owner and a landlord, I've asked it, hey, ChatGPT, how can I use AI to be better at owning a gym or being a landlord? And it's well, here's some ways you could do it. I'm like, yeah, those are actually pretty good. I could probably do that. And then, so one of its suggestions were video more of your repairs, so you could send it back to your tenants. So then next time somebody says, can you come change my air filter? I'm like, well, it's right here. Now, on that one, somebody already did it, and it literally takes 30 seconds. Right. I am not coming over to change your air. It'll cost you $100, right? But you can ask it, how can I use this tool in this business to do something better? And it'll give you ideas. So I did that before coming to talk to you. I was like, let me run some things through there. So I just said, hey, ChatGPT, I know nothing about AI. Give me a little bit of a description, and then tell me 10 ways that the average person could use AI tools to improve their life. And so it did. I was like, great. And I asked it a couple more questions. I was like, okay, let's be more specific. I own CrossFit Garage. Based on what you've said above, how could I use AI tools in these 5 areas? And I did I don't remember exactly, but it was sales, marketing, coaching, program development, nutrition, and rest or something. And it goes, right? Oh, community was the last one. Because then it said, I was like, oh, I really like this one. The very last thing, community. And then the third bullet point was create a database. Let people help, we will help match up people's similar goals with each other and introduce them. It'll create better community, better stick-to-itiveness. They'll have to live fit longer because they'll have better binding. I'm like, oh, I love this. So I asked it another question, okay, well, what tools would you suggest I do and how do I do it? And it spit all this stuff out. I didn't read it all because I had to come meet you, but I'm like, this is fascinating. I asked it, how can I use these tools in my job to do a better job?
Right.
And it told me, and you know what? It was right.
Yeah, and you could even take it and say, hey, I'm going to do these 5 things for my business. What other questions am I not asking, or what other things should I be thinking of, and then keep deep diving on those responses, right?
So I one time asked it, give me 10 things, I forgot what it was you could do, and then I said, give me 10 more, and it did. And I was like, be as creative as you want, give me 10 more. I'm like, wow, these last ones are actually out there, but that's it's not upset by absurdity.
Right.
It's just following so if you want to brainstorm stuff, I always tell people, give me 20 things you can. I'm going to go on a huge epic adventure. Great, give me 20, go. The first 5 are easy. The other 15 are really tough. And usually in that 15 is the best one yet. You just have to really noodle it, right? So ChatGPT actually just shortcutted it. It's I don't have your problem.
Helps you noodle.
Yeah, I could just give you you want 100 of them? I'll give you them. You just read through them and we're like, oh, these 3 are really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, I think people are going to find new ways of using these tools, and the tools are going to find new models and new ways of solving problems. For example, we haven't even talked about this, but audio is coming, and they have ways to mimic a singer. So you could sing a song, give it your best shot. Obviously, you're not going to do as good as Justin Bieber, but then you run it through the Justin Bieber filter, and suddenly you sound like Justin Bieber, and you're singing better than you've ever sang. Now there's legal ramifications all around that thing, but imagine when somebody says, hey, I'm a really good singer, I'm gonna put my voice out there and you can use it, I don't care. You just pay a one-time fee. They just made $1 million off of 100,000 people who signed up for it.
And that is a fascinating thing. People are very different in their unique abilities, but if we could connect unique abilities, we could become Voltron, right? All the lions would unite, and now we're one big mega bot.
Well, like you said at the beginning, you're more operational. I'm more creative, right? But I live in an operational world. Well, these tools make me happy because I can iterate through creational ideas faster, and they actually help me with some of the operational. Like I even asked it one day, like, hey, I want to come up with a business plan for this idea. And it helped me write something. And I was thoroughly impressed with the response. And then within each response, I deep dive questions behind that. So again, it's just learning to use your tools, what's out there, how to improve your own life. And you can't run away from this. I know some people are like really scared of what's coming.
As they look at their iPhone.
Yeah.
you're already halfway there.
You're already there. You're already using it.
I mean, think about our parents. You're like, well, I'm still on dial-up. I still have a rotary phone. You're like, seriously?
Yeah.
You want to live that way? Because nobody's ever going to call you or see you again, right? So yes, I agree. Get on the bandwagon. It's not going away. Learn to use it so that it becomes a tool in your pocket, not you a tool in their pocket.
Right.
I don't know. That sounded weird, but you know what I mean.
Exactly.
All right. So again, let's go with what is the simplest AI tool somebody can, or app or whatever, that the average Joe could just start using and just be creative or try something with? What would you say is, here's your entry drug?
I would go to bing.com and just start asking it questions. Make sure you're going into the chat part.
Okay, so Bing is a search engine.
Search engine from Microsoft that nobody uses because Google
owns it.
Outpaced them.
Do you know what the second largest search engine is?
I don't.
YouTube.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's why you should always make videos on how, because people are like,
people love it.
How do I skin a deer?
Yeah.
Like, why do you need to know?
And on that topic, you might create a video that doesn't do so well, but 10 years from now, if it has 1 million views and you've got 1,000 subscribers, you're making money, right?
Maybe,
so
but
most likely.
But actually, so let me back that up. I am doing something right now for one of my kids, Levi, who loves the idea of building an audience. So I have a YouTube channel. Weirdly, it's just called Andy McCann, because in 2008, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was like, sign up as Andy McCann. But anyway, so it's called Andy McCann. And there are subscribers. And we moved it from 46 to almost 600 in about a year, just being intentional and posting stuff. We have this podcast, right? So he wants an audience. He loves that. I enjoy talking to myself because I'm an introvert. He enjoys talking because he's an extrovert, right? So what can we deliver? What can we share? So in 10 years from now, sorry, the mailman is on us. We love the mail. I don't know who uses the mail anymore. Do you even read your mail? Do you get mail and read it?
I do.
You do? I don't know. I mean, if it doesn't look even halfway official, even if it looks halfway official, I'm throwing it away. So I'm like, I'm probably going to jail soon because I didn't read the whatever it sent. But yeah, I barely look at the mail. Anyway, so building an audience, and I think this is the long view of this. You do things now that will affect you 10 years from now.
Right.
Can you see that trajectory? If you want to live a healthy life in your 90s, you've got to look 10 years out.
Right.
And it involves being somewhat fit, understanding somewhat what your food is doing, and having some way to have finances, right? If you don't have those three things, and of course there's other things like relationships and stability and all that. Spiritual, right. But finance is a big part of that. So this is something looking out, and if you just do a taste test of it now, it's like, to me, it's like being in the gold rush in California, except you don't have to go anywhere. If we just learn a little bit and then teach our children, they're going to be so far ahead of the game. Yeah. So what is an easy tool? So you said Bing, so how do I get to it? I just go to
Bing.com, and you'll click on the little chat. It says chat, click it, and then you can start interacting with it.
And it works, you just give it a prompt,
give it a prompt, whatever. Now, again, this can handle both text or image focused. They've got great examples you can click on.
What's a good question people can ask that's an easy starter?
Literally anything that's on your mind. And if you would have gone to search Google for something, you can start there and say, hey, tell me about a great restaurant that opened up in Atlanta. And, if it's, what it's trying to do is it's trying to look at the ChatGPT 3 model, which is based on data from 2 years and older. But it's also integrating current information on the internet. So that's where Bing shines, right? You're not, ChatGPT is just looking at old data. I would just try to think about what are the things that's on your mind and see if you can ask it questions and keep trying things till you can understand this is how you have questions and conversation with the AI.
So here's one that I would give out that anybody could do. How can I make more money? And just start walking down that path and see what happens.
Here's my skills. This is what I like doing. What are some of the ways I can make money? Blah, blah, blah. See what it says. I think I probably shouldn't give investing advice, but here's my investment advice. Microsoft's already a powerhouse. You might love Apple, you might love all the Apple products, but Microsoft right now is ahead of the game in the AI industry, and they're about to start charging $30 extra a month per user.
To use their tool?
To use Microsoft Copilot tool. And they've got other AI integration tools that are coming too. Think about all the companies that are already paying $30 a month per user just to use email.
Their suite,
Yeah, in Excel and whatever. They're about to double up, right? Maybe not everybody in the company is going to get it, but a lot of people will get it. So Microsoft's revenue is about to shoot up because we know it's not a question of will they be productive? It's who will have the most productivity using these tools.
I think that's a big one is if a company can get their people on board and using it, their productivity goes up. And so it's a no-brainer. Would I pay $30 more for you to be 10 times more effective? Yes.
Yeah. Right.
So again, not investment advice because he didn't sleep in a Holiday Inn Express.
Right.
And he's not an investor, nor does past performance dictate future performance. And we're not doctors. What
and
we
don't know what the next 2 years of the overall market is going to look like.
Nor the next like 6 months or one day.
But I do think from a...
But if you're going to bet on a racehorse?
Yeah, it's one of those ones that's shining pretty bright. And, I personally think the market in general is going to do a pullback soon, maybe in the next year. But I think Microsoft's a company I would bet on succeeding in the AI world. I think Google will too. They're not going to lose, right? They got too much money and too many smart people to lose. Facebook's already out there doing things. And I believe Amazon has enough money and research behind it and servers, they could pull stuff off. NVIDIA has already done really well because they know they're making the picks and the shovels for the gold mine rush that's about to go on. And so it's too late to invest in that one. But there's going to be other companies like Tesla that are going to develop their own chips to do their own AI growth. So I do think there's going to be an evolution, just like we saw on the internet. Some people are going to do really well. I think a lot of these bigger companies already have the money and the technology and the people to succeed in it. And they would be safer investments long term.
So I'm going to give people so we're going to round this guy up, and I'm going to give you guys a practical thing you could do. And since we are CrossFit Garage and we do talk health and fitness, here's what I would say. Go to Bing or get a user account for ChatGPT and type in there, I am 47 years old, whatever, male, female, whatever, and I weigh this amount and I'm this tall. What could I do? What 10 things could I do to have a longer lifespan? And look at the list. Whatever it says, pick the one that you're doing the worst at and say, please I'm going to make this up here. Let's say I eat trash. My nutrition is horrible. You say, nutrition. Please expand on nutrition. What 10 things could I do in nutrition to help my health and fitness so I can live into my 90s? And let it give you some stuff. And then find, of those 10, pick 3 that make sense to you. And say, let's say, I don't know, it's probably going to say quit eating at fast food restaurants, right? Say, give me 5 things I can do to stop eating at a fast food restaurant. And it's going to give you 5 goals. And you could even probably tell it, give me specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-based, SMART goals around the idea of not eating at a fast food restaurant. It's going to give you stuff. And right then and there, you have used AI to increase your productivity in the world because you're going to be alive longer and more functional. And you can do that. I even have our Sunday coach, Louis. He sometimes says, hey, ChatGPT, here's what we did last week. Give me a cool Sunday program. Even though we already have it programmed, he likes to come up with other stuff. And so sometimes it gets like, you will do 4,000 burpees. And it's like, yeah, that's not going to work. But you can use this tool right now to simply say, how can I have a better life? How can I have a better health? Probably better life too. What can I do? What is a step? It's going to give you practical things. And once you unveil it to say, oh, it's not that mysterious, you're going to be very fascinated with the questions you can ask. So here's what I want you guys to do. If you do that, what I want you to do is email me what you did and what it told you and what you're going to do. What is the habit? You can even say, give me the habit around not eating at the fast food restaurant. Give me 10 habits. Pick one of the habits, email it to me, whatever it's going to be. I want to know what your habit is. So I want to see who's doing what out there. So you can find me, Andy at CrossFitGarage.com. You go to any of the social medias, we're on there. Go to our website, weirdly, it's CrossFitGarage.com. And if you email me, that's great. I'm much better on email. You can text me. That's my cell phone number that's on the website. I know Levi says I shouldn't do that, but we're a small business, and I don't want you to think I'm an AI. It's Andy Intelligence. It is, I guess, somewhat. If you want to talk to a real person, you will get a real live person. And I want to hear what you guys are doing. So we are here for you. We want to help grow you and build that firm foundation in food or fitness, food, and finances. Today was a lot about finances. You could even ask it, hey, what can I do? What can I grow here in Georgia that would help me know my food source? It's probably going to tell you squash and tomatoes because those work great down here. But it could be that. Guys, do something. If you're doing nothing, then you're going to get the exact same results you've always been doing. Do something different. Come to the gym with us. Find a group of people headed in the direction you want. Do something on your own. Be the masters of your own destiny. We want to help you become the hero of your own story. Guys, thank you for being here. It's, wow, we're already at 65 minutes. And Charles was like, how can we go for an hour? I'm like, trust me, it's going to go for an hour. All right, guys, if you need me, you know where to find me. Take care.